an independent analysis of European defense capabilities and strategic policy.
The arrival of the first 4 KF-41 Lynx infantry fighting vehicles at the Monte Libretti testing grounds in late January 2026 marked a profound psychological shift for the Italian defense establishment. For decades, the peninsula prided itself on a level of industrial autarky that few European nations could match, producing everything from the hull to the barrel within its own borders. Seeing a German platform roll onto Italian soil to replace the aging Dardo fleet serves as a stark visual confirmation. It confirms that the era of total independence in heavy-tracked armor has ended. Yet precisely because the heavy-tracked segment is increasingly becoming a pan-European or German-dominated enterprise, the strategic significance of the Centauro II tank destroyer has elevated. It has moved from a mere tactical asset to a symbol of industrial survival. It stands as the last undisputed fortress of Italian land systems engineering, a platform where Rome still dictates the state of the art, rather than following it. To understand the weight placed on the Centauro II chassis, one must look past the simple specifications of a military vehicle. Instead, it should be viewed through the lens of industrial strategy. The decision by the Italian army to procure 150 of these units, alongside a crucial export victory in Brazil, suggests a clear direction. While Rome may be outsourcing its heavy armor to Rheinmetall, it is doubling down on wheeled firepower. This bifurcation of the fleet is not accidental. It represents a calculated wager on geography and physics. The Italian peninsula, with its rugged Apennine spine and extensive coastline, has always favored strategic mobility over raw, static protection. Consider the logistics. A 65-ton Leopard 2A8 or a 45-ton Lynx requires heavy rail transport or specialized tank transporters to move effectively from Lombardy to Calabria. The Centauro II, weighing in at 30 tons, can deploy under its own power via the autostrada network, at speeds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. This capability aligns perfectly with the reorientation of the Italian military toward the Mediterranean basin. In this theater, rapid reaction forces must be ready to embark at ports like Taranto or Brindisi, without the logistical drag of heavy track support. From an engineering perspective, that the Centauro II represents a triumph over the constraints of physics that continues to elude most competitors. Placing a 120mm high-pressure gun, equivalent in firepower to a main battle tank, onto an 8x8 wheeled chassis creates immense recoil forces. Forces that would typically tip over or structurally compromise lesser vehicles. The magic lies within the solution developed by Otto Melara, now part of Leonardo, by utilizing a perforated muzzle brake that vents gases with extreme efficiency and a hydropneumatic system that extends the recoil stroke. Italian engineers have managed to tame the kinetic energy of a NATO standard smoothbore gun. This is not merely a technical footnote. It is the reason why the Centauro II secured the contract for the Brazilian VBC CAV program, defeating proposals from General Dynamics and Norinco. For the Brazilian military, operating across vast distances with questionable infrastructure, the requirement was heavy firepower with light logistics. The Italian solution was the only one that did not demand a compromise on the caliber of the gun, offering true tank-killing capability on a chassis that does not destroy bridges. However, this reliance on the Centauro II is not without its detractors, nor is it without strategic risks. The war in Ukraine has brutally demonstrated the vulnerability of lightly armored vehicles to ubiquitous threats, from first-person view drones to artillery shrapnel. Critics argue that the concept of the wheeled tank destroyer relies on a doctrine of shoot and scoot, and a doctrine which may be obsolete in an environment where surveillance is persistent. The armor of the Centauro II, while improved over its predecessor with a new chassis design and add-on ballistic kits, is ultimately limited by the weight capacity of the tires. It can likely withstand autocannon fire across the frontal arc, but it lacks the thick composite survival capsule of a main battle tank. By investing heavily in this platform, the Italian Army is betting that superior optics, specifically the Attila D panoramic sight, will allow their crews to see and kill the enemy before receiving fire. It is a philosophy that prioritizes lethality and situational awareness over passive survivability, a trade-off that is traditionally Italian but increasingly risky on the modern battlefield. And now there is also a complex industrial dimension regarding the future of the CIO consortium. This is the joint venture between Iveco Defense Vehicles and Leonardo that produces the Centauro. With the tracked sector moving toward German cooperation, the internal balance of power in Italian defense manufacturing is shifting. Iveco provides the automotive components, the engines, and the suspension that give the Centauro its mobility. Leonardo provides the turret and electronics. The Centauro II remains the primary program, keeping the synergy of this consortium alive at the high end of the spectrum. If the heavy-tracked programs are essentially integration jobs, fitting Leonardo turrets onto German hulls, then the Centauro II is the only remaining program where the entire vehicle integration logic remains sovereign. As this matters intensely for the workforce in La Spezia and Bolzano. The export success in Brazil provided a critical lifeline. It proved that Italian specialized armor can still compete globally, even as the domestic market fragments. Furthermore, the operational deployment of these vehicles signals a shift in how Italy envisions its contribution to NATO. While the heavy brigades equipped with the incoming Leopard 2A8 and Lynx will likely be earmarked for the eastern flank to deter Russian aggression in the plains of Poland or Romania. The medium brigades equipped with the Centauro II and the Frexia 8x8 vehicles will likely serve a different purpose. They will be the primary instrument for crisis management in the global south. This division of labor allows Rome to satisfy its NATO commitments with heavy iron, and while retaining a highly mobile, autonomous expeditionary force that suits its own national interests in North Africa. It is arguably counterintuitive that in an era of renewed heavy metal warfare, Italy's most distinctive contribution is a wheeled vehicle. Yet, looking closely at the procurement patterns, one realizes something crucial. The acquisition of German tanks is an admission of industrial reality. The continued evolution of the Centauro family is a statement of doctrinal intent. The decision to equip the Centauro II with the ability to fire programmable munitions suggests that planners view it not just as a tank killer, but as a multi-role mobile gun system capable of supporting infantry in complex terrain. Ultimately, the Centauro II serves as a bridge between the legacy of the Cold War and where Italy needed to stop Soviet tanks in the Gorizia Gap, and a future of distributed expeditionary warfare. It is likely the last time a fully Italian-designed combat vehicle will hold such a prominent place in the frontline order of battle. As European defense integration accelerates, the next generation will almost certainly be multinational. Therefore, the Centauro II is both a cutting-edge weapon system and a historical bookend. It proves that Italian industry can still manipulate physics to produce a machine that is faster and harder hitting than its peers. Even if the geopolitical tides are forcing a merger with Northern European giants for the heavier weight classes. For the commanders in Rome, the hope is that the agility of the Centauro II will be mirrored by the agility of the Italian defense industry, maneuvering around the heavy obstacles of international competition to find a niche where it can still reign supreme.